Alright, welcome to another game vlog where I'll be talking about The Legend of Zelda, The Breath of the Wild once again. I asked in the previous video if anyone would like to see me talk about this game as I continue playing through it, and Protagon said he would, so good enough for me, and here we are talking about Zelda again. It's been 2 days since I got the game. It's currently Sunday. I only started playing the game early hours of Saturday morning, and I'll turn down the I just like the kind of the ambience of the game. I like having it on sometimes. Very relaxing game before I get started on anything else. I just love just walking around and just climbing up the mountains and just exploring. That's what is so great about this game. And I was talking about it a little bit on Twitter earlier today, how I've done pretty much nothing as far as the main story of the game is concerned. I did the first section where you go to a number of shrines, and these shrines, you enter into them, you go underground, and you have to do a trial, which is a big kind of puzzle room. And once you do that, you get this spirit orb, and that becomes important later on. And so I did a few of those, and met with a mysterious character who gave me a paraglider, so you can jump off mountains, you can glide for a limited amount of time. I'm sure you've all seen it. And it's a really cool mechanic for kind of getting around the map quicker. You can fast warp as well between certain towers once you've activated the towers. So I've activated a few of those, and they give you a bit more of the map as well. And I'm floored by the game, really, because it's it's not like we've never really had a big open world Zelda game before. We had that with Wind Waker and to a certain extent the other games, but this one is, even if you take away how huge this game is in terms of the size, it just feels so much more like a livable world. It has those stretches where there's not really anything but woods or mountains or whatever, and you come across all these little moments, these animals and things that you can do, things that you cannot do. You can play it the way you want to play it, and you can explore the world the way you want to explore it. I got told, you should go over to that village and head over there to kind of learn more. And so I went in the opposite direction just to see what was there. And I could tell that it was a part of the game which I maybe shouldn't have gone to, because the enemies were a lot tougher. But I kind of, found a way to kind of get past all that and climb up this mountain and activate this tower to get a new part of the map. I had to solve a puzzle to get onto the tower to begin with, and then suddenly the sky just starts going black and the moon turns red and this storm starts coming. I was losing my mind. What's going on? And then I get this warning about the blood moon and stuff like that. It's just all these little things that just happen as you go along through the game that are triggered at certain moments, and but it doesn't depend on where you are. It'll happen, I think, wherever you are in the game at certain points. So you never know what kind of experience you're going to get. And I climbed up to the top of this mountain, which looked like it was at the edge of the map, meaning if I look out to the distance it would just be kind of stuff I can't get to. But I saw this huge desert, and I thought, well, obviously you can't go onto that desert. And then I saw this moving machine on like a castle on legs. It was seriously like Howl's Moving Castle Mark II. And it was kind of going through like this kind of fog or this kind of smoke. I couldn't quite see it, but I could see that it was this huge moving building, and it just took my breath away. And I could see this fortress on the other end of the desert, just so far away. So I thought, wow, you can go there then. This game is just massive. It's huge, and I've only really been pottering about in a small part of it. And so I got to one tower last night, and then today I went to the next tower that I wanted to go to, and I looked back to where I'd come from, and it just looks so far away. And it just gives you a real sense of the scope of everything, like how big my journey has been already, and it hasn't even really started yet. Again, I'm about 7 hours into this game. And you have those games where it's like, a traditional linear story, and you play through it in 16, 20 hours. And, I've hardly scratched the surface. I really have hardly scratched the surface. And I found this little hideout with all these enemies, and I beat them all and got this really cool shield that is much better than anything else I've got. So like the weapons that you pick up, that's another thing I like, the weapons. In the other Zelda games you'll get a sword, just normal sword, you get to use that and that's that, and then eventually halfway through the game you get the master sword or a better sword, but there's only like 2 or 3 swords. In this one, there are so many different weapons you can use, from swords to spears to torches, and you can attack the skeletons that come out at night and use their arms as a weapon, and the hand is still moving. Like, there's all those little kind of details in there as well. Different bows that you can use, and the weapons always break, so you're constantly having to kind of work a strategy out in your mind as to how you're gonna tackle anything that you come across, whether it's a gang of moblins or other enemies that you come across. It's like, is it worth taking these on? You know, is it worth breaking my sword against an enemy like this? Have I got enough to survive if that breaks? You know, what food have I got? Can I replenish my health? All these little things. And I just did a shrine. As I'm going along, I'm finding them and kind of going into them and trying to solve them and get spirit orbs. But one of them I couldn't crack because I think I might need an item that I don't have yet. This one was so cool because it was a really neat little kind of solution to the trial. And when I figured it out, I felt like a king. I was just like laughing out loud. I was like, oh yes! It just gave me so much pleasure. So far, the puzzles in the game have been so satisfying because they're tricky, but they don't take me too long to figure out. And once I do figure them out, I feel kind of smart. So it's a good thing for someone like me who kind of likes to think that he has a good grasp on these things without using a guide. That's another thing. I don't like to use guides in games, and I find with these open world games that there's so much to do that you'll just get lost and you just will waste so much time. I don't feel like I'm wasting time yet. That point may come. I don't know. I found out more about the story, the backstory, and it kind of set up the whole game very quickly. And there's kind of shades of, to me, some of the Studio Ghibli movies, particularly Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind. But that's one of my favorite movies, so I'm not complaining about that at all. But it has that sense of feeling of something that happened generations ago, and I won't go into too much more detail than that. But yeah, suffice it to say, 7 hours into the game, 8 hours into the game, we'll call it, because I've been playing for another probably like 45-50 minutes just now. 8 hours in, the impressions are very strong. I just hope that I still feel this sense of adventure, because there's been really minimal story so far, especially for a Zelda game, but I feel like everything I've been doing has been my story. You know, there's something about it that it's like this big adventure. I mean, just then I was heading over to this shrine, and it was I don't know, about 10 o'clock at night, something like that. It was dark, it was raining, and I found this little section of trees, and in it there was a hollowed out tree stump. And so I put some wood down, I put a flint down, sparked it up with my sword, and sat down by the fire. And you can do that if you want to pass the time and move to the morning or the noon or the night. You can sit down at a fire and it'll pass the time. And so that's what I did. And then it was morning, and the fire had gone out, and it was damp because it had been, you know, ablaze all night. And then I went off on my way, and it was nice and bright and sunny again. It was just those little details where you feel like you're really living out this adventure. That is really, really cool, and there's probably loads more I could talk about. Nothing but great things to say about it, and was talking to my friend about it just then, and he was saying pretty much how I feel about it, that what's so cool about this game is that everyone's having their own experiences with it. You know, it's not like, you know, oh yeah, you on level 3 yet, level 4 yet? You can't really do that with this game. It's like, so where are you? You know, what have you got so far? And I think he got it on like launch or midnight, so I figured he'd be quite ahead of me, and he probably still is in terms of the game, but I have a few items that he hadn't got yet, which is kind of cool because you go your own way and you find your own things. I was flying over this plane and I saw these 5 statues, and I could have just flown straight over them, but I decided to stop and see what it was about. And there was these 5 statues with bowls in front of them, and each of them had an apple in the bowl, as if the statue was offering it to someone walking past. But one of them had nothing in it, so I placed an apple in it, and this little creature popped up and gave me something for it. So I just love all those little moments, and I just hope that it holds up to how good it's been so far, considering all I've really been doing outside of the beginning of the game is just kind of pottering around in the mountains and stuff, and doing kind of random shit. And yeah, and also a lot of times with Zelda games, they kind of hold your hand quite a bit, and you get kind of the tutorial section of the game, which can be a little bit of a drag sometimes, especially when you've already played the game and you go back again. It's like, oh god. But this has been really, like, I mean, it points you in the right direction, but you got to kind of make your own way, and I think that's really fitting. And again, it's nothing monumental. I mean, you have these open world games that have this style, but it's so great to kind of play a game like this that is involved with The Legend of Zelda, which is something that I'm a big fan of. So yeah, and there's just been some incredible views I've found going up in the mountains and watching the sunrise, and this, it's just a stunning game visually, and no problems yet, really. The only thing I could say is a minor complaint is when I heard the backstory of the game, a character tells you kind of the backstory and what's happening and stuff, and I kind of felt like, oh, kind of like all the other Zelda games, a little bit similar. But I also would probably find it more annoying if they went completely against everything and had new characters and new kind of lore and stuff like that. So it's not, again, very minor complaint is that the storyline is very typical of what you expect with the main console Zelda games in terms of the grand big story and the hero's journey, all that kind of stuff. So there you go. That's my thoughts, or my vlog about playing the first 8 hours of this game, and not just my super initial thoughts. And let me know. Let me know if you'd like me to continue this. Maybe come back to it every few days or something, and kind of let you know what I've been doing. It would be so great to stream this game. It really would. But at the same time, like I said before, I'm enjoying just sitting down and playing it in the middle of the night and just getting lost in it, you know. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you're playing the game, definitely let me know what you think about it, how your kind of playthrough is going. I'd love to hear anyone who's playing this, how they're finding the game, good or bad. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave them down below if you have any. Oh, and just as I stopped filming and started playing again, I found this kind of stable place with all horses and stuff, and it's like an inn as well where you can stay at. And it's the first time I've come across like actual like human characters to talk to and interact with. And I've just started my first side quest, so that's really cool. And I've learned about like horses and stuff and how you can tame horses and things. So yeah, this is cool. This is like the beginning of kind of getting into more actual stuff as opposed to just exploring the terrain, but actually interacting with people and kind of again enabling these side quests and things like that. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward to that part of the game, which is always a massive part of Zelda games, is the side quests that you can get involved in or not get involved in. So yeah, I want to just soak up as much as I can of this, and this is definitely one of my favorite parts of Zelda games, so there we go. Alright, last little thing. I found a guy who buys and sells things, and so my kind of foraging into the wilderness and the mountains has really paid off, because I collected some rare gems, and I had 5 rupees when I got to this guy, and I now have 1,055. So, and anyone who's played Zelda knows that it's really hard to get that amount of rupees early on. So this is interesting, like collecting stuff and kind of finding minerals and things like that. It reminds me a little bit of No Man's Sky from last year. So I'll definitely be sure to kind of crack open those rocks and get all the elements within them, because that really made me a lot of money really quickly, and hopefully that'll pay off. I don't know what I need money for yet, so we'll see. But that was cool, and that's definitely it now. Thanks for watching.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.